What's up, guys? This is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. Today I'm joined by Marco from the YouTube channel Straight Mind. He's a psychologist and he will help us to understand how habits work. You know, I always talk about habits, success habits, and how important it is for us to implement them in our lives. And today I thought we're gonna talk to a professional about it. So Marco, before we get started, maybe you can tell us a little bit about you, yourself, your background, and your YouTube channel.
Thank you for having me. And on my YouTube channel, I talk about insights of your psychology, so understanding clearly what is going on in your mind and how you can manage yourself optimally. And one part of that is surely how to build habits sustainably so you can actually create the life that you love. And it can be tricky, but if you know the right tools, it actually can be easier than you thought.
One of the things we talk about here very often is that we as the INFJ personality type, we need consistent progress. And it's not so much about willpower. That's one thing I've learned. What is your approach to this? Do you believe we need willpower? Is it that willpower won't help you at all? Like what's your background in this or your experience when it comes to willpower versus just consistent progress in small steps?
Yeah, there's this one quote, I think this sums up a lot really nicely. It says, motivation gets you going in the very beginning, but habit keeps you going. So yes, especially in the beginning, you need some willpower to get going, but also a lot of people underestimate this and they only use willpower and they just want to smash it and get forward, and those people usually don't stick to those habits sustainably. So be smart about this. This is also what we're going to talk about here. Use some tricks, some psychological tricks to build habits. Use some willpower in the beginning, but over time you will really see and realize how you can really let go of this pushing yourself. I, for example, meditate now for more than 700 days in a row.
Wow.
And by now I'm sometimes sitting on my meditation cushion and I'm like, oh, wait, I'm meditating again. I didn't even think about doing it because it came automatically, right? So willpower is part of it, and some days you still need to push yourself, but it gets less and less. And people, I think, overestimate this and think that this is the only tool they need for building habits, but it's not true. It's actually burning you out if you just focus on willpower. And we'll be better with building habits, because habits basically help you to do things automatically.
Yeah, and I find this really interesting from hearing this from a psychologist, because very often, people say, okay, meditation or habits or all of these, they're like soft, soft things. They're not like hard sciences. But even for somebody with your background, and I mean, you've studied all of this, you have your master's degree and everything in that field. Even you as a psychologist say, habits really make the difference. And so this is, I'm sure, also something that you learn from a very professional standpoint, right? This is not just personal preference.
Yeah, there are actually tons of studies, and one funny thing is that human beings, I think they're still in the evolutionary process because they're so bad at estimating how things will be over time. People are so bad at estimating how they will be or what they will do or what they will have achieved if they do something consistently, for example, over a year. Meditating every day for 20 minutes over a year, where does it take you? Reading a book every day for half an hour, how many books have you read in 2 years? This is incredible, and people can't really wrap their mind around it. But this is how things happen over time. Also, your brain always adapts and changes. For example, if you meditate, the areas in your brain which are responsible for being fearful and always worrying, those get smaller, so you can't even use them. And the areas being responsible for being in the present moment, being loving and kind, those actually get bigger and work better. So you really can train your brain, and this is what you do every single day. If you sit on the couch, you're training your brain to sit on the couch. If you meditate, or if you do sports, or if you do anything in life, every emotion that you feel and every habit, it's training yourself to become a better person every single day.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we talk about this a lot, and I'm sure you can say it the same way, that it's an exponential growth, right? The more you tap into something, the faster it will grow, the more it accelerates. And one of the things I use very often also personally, that we all overestimate what we can do in a week, and we totally underestimate what we can do in a year. So we already know, I think, how important it is to be consistent, right? Because consistency, it doesn't have to be much. It's even those small things that help you to keep on going. So since so many of us know that habits actually make a difference, it's not just you and me talking about it. There are so many people who are really advocates for this. But why do so many people disengage from it? Why do so many people say, I have those desires and I want to do this, but I can't stay motivated?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of reasons for that, and depends on the individual. one that I found is really a big one, and I almost in every coaching session also need to go towards this point. It's clarity. A lot of people tell themselves, hey, I want to do some more sports, but what does it really mean? And I think this boils down to the fact that most people don't even know what a habit is. A lot of people think that the definition of a habit, it means, oh, I'm doing just something regularly, it just comes automatically. But from a scientific perspective, it means that there is always a trigger that is triggering then a reflex, which is an automatic behavior. So I, for example, used to go on YouTube and waste my time with watching stupid videos in the afternoon when I was tired and alone in my room, right? This triggered a behavior. I realized this, I changed this up, that so the trigger is not happening, or I respond differently. The same is with building a positive habit. Let's say you want to do sports more often. So don't just tell yourself, I do it now 3 times a week, because then you procrastinate and you're on Friday, you're like, okay, maybe I do it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and not starting on Monday already. You always push things away. But if you have a trigger, such as, hey, coming home from work, afterwards I directly do sports, or after waking up in the morning I start meditating, then there's a trigger, and then it's much more likely that you do the habit, you have clarity when to do it, and the trigger is after a couple of days already reminding you of doing it. You wake up in the morning and you're like, all right, I'm meditating now, and it becomes normal and you don't question yourself when to do things. This is one of the most important tips I found that people use and that helps them to actually build a habit sustainably.
Yeah, this is so interesting because, as we all know, I don't have the psychology background, and I really go a lot from a perspective, okay, what has helped me in the past? And these are really the things that also, like, you know, make my life so successful from my point of view and how things are going. First off, I always say, make it your new normal. We don't want it to be a task. If you feel like, if I have to do this for, let's say, months, like I couldn't keep up with it, it's probably too much.
Yeah.
Rather start small. And then we have a course that I offer, or the group coaching with the 5 pillars to an epic life. And one of the main key aspects is there, put it in your schedule. So it's not just, you know, do it on like 2 times a week. It's like I do it Monday afternoon from 4 till 6. And I'm sure you've heard of this, like the SMART goals, right? Yeah. Specific, measurable, applicable, realistic, and time bound, right? That you say, I want to finish my book by the end of January, and I wanted to have 500 pages, for example, right?
Yeah. Also a little tip for some people, if it still feels overwhelming, like, oh, I want to lose 10 kilograms, it's so much. You can switch this up and let go of this output goal. What do you want to achieve? Like having so much money or losing so much weight. Switch it up and just make it an input goal, what you put in. So I, for example, I'm writing right now a book about habits. I'm not telling myself, oh, next month I need to have this chapter finished. No, I'm just building this habit of every day in the morning after I meditate, I sit down for an hour and I diligently work on this book for 1 hour. This is my input goal. And by doing this for a couple of weeks, inevitably it will lead to me finishing this book, but it doesn't feel like, oh, I need to still do so much and this is my performance and this is my output, I need to get there. I'm just focusing on the input. It's the same with meditation. I don't want to be super mindful. No, I just meditate every day for 20 minutes. This is my input. I read a book diligently every day for half an hour. I'm writing on my book. I'm doing sports 3 times a week. And then the output comes automatically. And you're not just always comparing, oh, this is the goal I need to achieve. I'm not there yet. Oh, I feel down about it. So the input also sometimes helps people to keep up the motivation.
Yeah, this is also my experience, like particularly because you said meditation, because people, when they start meditating, very often, you know, they get frustrated because after like 30 seconds, their mind has already wandered off. Yeah. But if you stop judging yourself for it and you say, well, the point is that when you catch yourself after a minute that you've been drifting off, that you just go back. Yeah. And meditation very often, I'm sure you see it the same way, is so much about like finding your way back. Learning and practicing that your mind will stay focused on what you're training to be focused on, right? Yeah. So this is like a really good tip, like take it from him. So it's not just use input goals, because that might help you when you don't know how much you want to achieve, and the output will happen automatically, right? So when people talk about habits, very often it's about physical things, right? So we're talking about nutrition, we're talking about sleep, we're talking about working out and eating, right? Or things like this. So we as INFJs, we're very cerebral beings. We do a lot with our mind. And for me, it's also interesting, and I think for our viewers as well, how does that play a role when it comes to habits that are primarily a mindset thing and only maybe have secondary benefits to our physical body. See, one of the things that is particularly important to me, as I want to know, as talking to a psychologist, I want to train my mind to be more productive in areas that are important to me. And so my question is, through having habits like meditation or other things that train my mind to, let's say, overcome internal blocks and so on, I have the wish to create more of a life on my terms. Like, what is in your experience, the combination of training your mind that will help you, for your mind to be more, let's call it, productive in areas of creating happiness and more of a life how we want it?
Yeah. I think it all starts with making a plan, and this is actually one of my number one habits. Yes, it's meditation is the number one habit for myself. The second one, though, is making a plan every evening for the next day. And I'm really just sitting down for 5, sometimes even 10 minutes, asking myself, hey, what would a beautiful day for me tomorrow look like? Productive-wise, but also health-wise, friends-wise. What would be a beautiful day for me that I feel like this actually makes sense? I manage myself optimally when I need rest breaks. I know this after 90 minutes of work, I really need a break. Also, when I'm sometimes tired, I can then more hop on coaching calls. This is managing me better. But really taking this time in the evening, the night before, and thinking, hey, create clarity. What do you want to do when? Put it in your calendar. Time box your day. Not just make a list of, I need to still do so much things. No, actually time box your day. Maybe set those input goals. And if you're clear about this is one of the great habits that really also give me clarity in my mind, happiness, and then also productivity at the next day.
Yeah, this is really interesting. So I think one of the things that a lot of INFJs struggle with is that we say, well, I don't want to be just this workaholic. I don't want to be a productive being. What I want is, in a lot of ways help people, but also to just experience life fully, to be happier.
Yeah.
But I think you will agree with me on this, that all of those things that are actually where you think, okay, I'm working on my mindset and all of this actually helps us to experience life also much more beautifully and much more in a way like we're living a movie or the dream that we want, right?
Exactly. I mean, on the one hand, we have to acknowledge a habit, for example, telling yourself, hey, tomorrow for 1 hour I work on something. It's a bit like a prison because it's like a set rule. Tomorrow I do this. Yes, there's not more freedom about this, but it's a system that is not here to suppress you, but to support you. And you can decide on your habits, right? So if you know, hey, meditating, maybe, I always come back to this topic, meditating for 20 minutes in the morning would support me, even though sometimes I don't feel like this, okay, that makes sense for me, right? And this is how you create really the life that you want to live. Think a little bit more long term. Where does it lead you in 1 year? All the productivity things, all the other habits, the health habits that you want to implement. And this is maybe what is also giving you the foresight and also the insight of hey, I want to do this today, even though I don't fully feel like it, but it's important for my life.
And I'm sure this also has an effect on, I don't know the exact words for this, so please excuse me, but the hormones or the serotonin, all of these things, right? It does have an effect on that. Can you tell us a little bit, just as a background, how this connects? So if I'm being productive or if I'm working on my goal, why does that trigger a feeling of happiness or fulfillment?
Yeah. First of all, if you have a habit and you make it measurable, this is one of the beautiful things, because what's happening here is you see that you make progress, right? You're clear about it. Okay, I meditated today again. I'm still doing it. I'm doing it for 20 days in a row. I'm writing my book. I'm shooting videos, whatever it is for you. And this feeling of I achieved something. This is why it's important to be clear, because then only you see this. This actually releases happiness hormones in your mind, and you feel happy about yourself. You feel I'm actually productive in my being, and I can actually create something. And this is really what is also changing, again, your brain in a systematic way, because you build the areas that you use. For example, your prefrontal cortex right behind your skull here is for your rational thinking, for your willpower, for doing things. And if you're getting productive, you build this part again, but also you will release happiness hormones that make you feel happy, and again, also motivate you more. It's like an upward spiral, and this is when you really build this flow over time.
Okay, cool. So I think we all saw how beneficial it is to really have habits in our life. Really take this into consideration, especially as INFJs. We need this because we're so often not aware of, making that progress that Marco is talking about. So before we really end this, can you give us one tip? If you say, okay, this is something I would change now from one day to the other, what is the thing that you would recommend to, let's say, the viewers today?
Yeah, the number one is that I already mentioned is have a trigger, make it clear when do you want to do this, right? Piggyback it on something, for example, after waking up, after coming home from work, after brushing your teeth, something like that. And the second one is build preparatory habits, which is just prepare something beforehand. Tomorrow, if you want to go to the gym, already pack your gym bag today. Already be clear about when you want to go there, right? If you want to meditate, put your meditation cushion already at the right spot. If you want to write on your book, already open the Word file in the evening, so in the morning you just open your laptop, you can directly get started. It takes away this resistance in the morning or in the afternoon when you do this habit, because it's like, oh, I still need to do so much stuff and what actually exactly to do. No, I'm clear about it, I have everything prepared, I just need to get started. This really helps. So ask yourself, what are your preparatory habits? What could be your trigger? Which is the exact habit that you want to do, and where does it lead you within the next couple of weeks?
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time, Marco.
You're welcome.
Don't forget, guys, to check out Marco's channel on YouTube, Straight Mind. You will learn a lot about habits and just the psychology background on improving your life. Remember, if you want to take the next step in creating your INFJ epic life and you want my help with it, then work with me privately. All the information you find below. There I'll also add, of course, Marco's details. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then watch the video on INFJ success habits, the morning habits I'm already living out. Thank you so much again. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.